Rowena Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty.
And greetings. Welcome back to the Soul Citizens. I am GriffinGamingRPG, and today is the first weekend in September 3rd, 2023, and I'm here with two of my compadres, co-hosts, joining us today. First, I'm going to name off on the far right side of the screen, the one and the only yoyoMeg. What's up, Meg? How are you?
What is up? I'm great. Hope y'all are as well.
Good. I've noticed that you've been playing Starfield. You've been busy. You kicked off on early. You kicked off on early access day one, if I remember it correctly, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, I was watching you like 20 minutes before the show. Kalrati, she was counting down. She was like 20 minutes, 15 minutes. She was working her way down the clock. Like a lot of people. Hey, I don't blame her. I don't blame her. A lot of people have been waiting on this game for a very long time. Let me ask you real quick, yo. First impressions on Starfield. You digging it? 1 to 10. What do you want to? I'll let you say whatever you want to say about it. Real quick, give me your thoughts on it.
Okay, super quickly, I think I'll give it a high 9 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm about 40 hours in, haven't even touched the second main mission.
Good.
And it's a blast. My ADHD is thriving in that game. There's just so many things to do.
I'm proud of you. I am proud of you, and I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, because I talked to a couple people who were like, "Oh, I've played through the game 2 or 3 times already," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" You know, and I'm talking about this is the first few days, right? Not the first few days, but it's like there's this whole thing of people feeling like they got to get to end game so quickly that they don't take the time to really enjoy it. And for a game that's been in development like for 7-8 plus years, to me, to burn through it in like 24 hours is like, okay, what's the point? You know what I mean? There's so much there for you to monkey around with. So I think that's cool that you're taking the time to enjoy the space, which is cool. Very cool.
Absolutely.
Nice. Kalrati, what's up, my brother? As always, having his late night snack during the show, which I'm jealous of because I can't do it because I'm hosting, because I wish I could. But
yo.
How you doing, buddy? How you been?
I'm good.
Now, are you monkeying with Starfield? Are you waiting on Starfield? Where are you at with it?
I have been monkeying around with Starfield, but not as frequently as Meg. I actually just started playing this morning.
Okay.
My rating on it is.
Who's rating us?
Snap.
Who is rating us? Oh my God.
Jake.
Who did? I didn't see it. Oh, Jake Acapella. Oh, Jake. Hey, Jake. How are you, man?
Just rated Jake earlier.
Jake, my friend. How are you? Thank you, Jake. Jake is awesome. You guys all know Jake Acapella, and thank you for the raid of 20 from your folk. Thank you, Jakeites. I don't know what he calls you guys. JAs. I don't know. But thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Jake, hope you had a great stream. Hope you're doing well. We are looking forward to seeing you in October. We are bringing our Padawan, Yo-Yo. First time coming to CitizenCon. She is going to be there. So make sure you give her a shout when you see her, okay? But hope you're doing good. Jake says, yes! See, there's some excitement. There's some excitement there. See there? All right. Jake's a great, wonderful person. You guys know Jake works with CIG. I will say this, Kalrati. I have not, I got it. I bought it with, the Xbox Pass and everything, but I started doing Baldur's Gate. And I'm in there and having a blast. And as you get older, you cannot be absorbing too many deep games at once. So between having to keep up with Star Citizen, do the research for this show and everything else, and then take my mind out of space and go back to the fantasy world of Dungeons and Dragons, which I used to play 40, 50 years ago, and I get back into that, there's no way I'm going to try and do what Yo-Yo's doing and start exploring Starfield.
I would have to say, Meg, enjoy it, because even though I'm closer in age to you, I'm still in my 20s. I'm feeling what Griffin's feeling already. So enjoy it. Right? In a few years, you're feeling it.
When they're deep like that, and see, I'm one of those people like Meg. I want to go in. You know what I mean? But if I can't do it consistently, then I get frustrated. So. And I've been having problems with, I think I mentioned this last week, I'm having problems with single role-playing games, because I'm at the point in my life where I enjoy the social dynamic of games. So I love playing with other people. So it takes a lot for me to be drawn into any type of single player role player where I've got to navigate through it. So I'm looking forward to playing it. Don't get me wrong. No hate towards Starfield. I'm looking forward to playing because I like Bethesda stuff. But it may not be till maybe October or November, depending on my Baldur's Gate group, because we're having a blast. We're supposed to play 4 hours a day. I know I'm derailing the show here. We're supposed to play 4 hours a day. We played for 6 hours last night. It was great. And when I used to play D&D, we used to start like at 6 p.m. and stop at 4 in the morning. So God forbid if I ever start doing that again. Anyway, we are here today to talk about Update 3.20, and thank you all for joining us. We have a information-packed show. I'm going to run something, but even before we get into that, let's see, who's that? Space Ghost. Thank you for that follow. We appreciate that. And Thracazox, thank you for, Thracazox gave out the gift sub. Thank you. Thank you for that as well. Thank you, Thracazox. Before we get into that, we want to remind you guys that we have been doing our St. Jude Play Live fundraiser, which you guys have been helping us with over the past few months. We started this back at the beginning of June, culminating at CitizenCon, October 22nd. And our goal is to raise $10,000 for St. Jude Children's Hospital for children with cancer and their families. You guys have been stupendous in this effort. We are now at $2,325. We are so close to our next tier, which is $3,000. Now, this is what you're going to get. If we get to $3,000, what you're going to get is Kalrati in a bathing pool with shorts. I'm going to do that. No, I'm just kidding.
Gold shirt, man.
What you are going to get is our 12-hour live stream. You'll get to have us for 12 hours. We're going to have guest content creators come on. We're going to do some amazing giveaways during that time period. And I know that when we do that $3,000 stream, Yo-Yo, we're going to actually hit 5,000 in that 12-hour period. I know we're going to do it. So we need you guys to help us get to that $3,000 tier. That means we need another, somebody help me with the math here. What did I say we had? 2,000. We need another $675. Is that right? Doing the math? Yes. Yep. $675. So we know you guys can help us do that. We want to get that by the middle of this month. So you guys tell people about it. If you've been giving already, we really appreciate that. Some of you have given multiple times. Some of you may not have it to give, but we do ask that you would tell other people, tell your family members. A lot of people know about St. Jude Children's Hospital, even if they're not into Star Citizen. They get it about St. Jude and families dealing with cancer in children. So please pass the word around. We'll show a little video later to talk about it. But for now, that's what we're going to pitch about that. 3.2.0. Let me see. I'm going to give it to both Yo-Yo and Kalrati before we jump into this, because this is one of the things that I always hear people say. I've been hearing a lot of, wow, somebody else. Oh my God, Expat. Oh, wow. Thank you for the love, Expat Brat. We rated Expat the other day, and Expat said, hey, let me rate them back. Thank you, Expat Brat. We really appreciate that. If we can give a shout out to Expat and to Jake, please. Fast Cart would really appreciate that. If you guys have never watched Expat does this so cool, what is it, like role play with the camera angles and all that stuff, and it's really great. So yes, you guys definitely yeah, you know what, Expat, no, that was my fault. Usually we have somebody that gives you a warning saying, hey, we're going to raid, and I didn't have anybody yesterday to do that, and they didn't know I wanted to raid you. So we sent the raid over, and then I looked back to the page. It's like she was done. I was like, oh shoot, I missed her. But we've raided Expat before, and she's seen us do it. So make sure you guys visit both Jake Acapella and Expat. Okay, what was I saying? I've lost track of. I got so excited about that. Oh, okay. Here's my question to Kalrati and Yo-Yo.
Yeah,
I've heard this probably since we left 3.16, maybe even 3.15. Whenever there's a patch coming up, I hear this thing from people, I won't say who they are. Oh, there's nothing really in that patch. It does. I'm not excited about that patch. It doesn't seem like there's anything there. There's nothing of substance. Then the patch comes out, and then everybody's like, "Oh, I didn't know they were going to do this." And there's all this stuff in the patch. So, how did you guys feel about this patch? Let me go to Yo-Yo first on this one. Yo-Yo, how did you feel about 3.2.0 from what you've seen so far?
Yeah. So what I've seen so far, in the beginning, it was a little rough. I tried to get into the Hull C and check that out just because that was obviously the hype, the main focus. And it was good. More buggy. It wasn't really doable.
Oh, it was real buggy. Yeah, the call for what it was. It was buggy.
Yes,
You know, hey, don't stutter. You ain't got to stutter.
That
That bad fellow was rough. You ain't about lying. Go ahead. She trying to be nice, y'all. She knows Jake is here. She knows Jake here. She wants to meet Jake.
Exactly.
She's like, I ain't trying to throw no hate at the game right now. No, go ahead.
Great. Yeah. It was a bit buggy. But I was playing it today, and it seemed to be a lot better than what it was last week. Has it been out longer?
No, it's been just a little over a week. It was like this Friday, but last Friday, and they have been like literally. I think they put out I think I've like seen 5 or 6 hot patches since it came out. So they've been dropping the patches almost every day.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's been great so far. Went to check out a bunker today and saw some interesting updates, but that's like as far as I've gotten into it. I tried to check out like the Arena Commander, the new tank mode, but nobody wanted to play. I was sitting there for like 30 minutes. I was telling Pops earlier in Fist, like nobody wanted to play with me.
Oh, wow.
I feel like
you
everybody
guys hear that? Y'all gonna leave Yo out there like that? Y'all gonna leave Meg out there like that? Oh my God, that's terrible.
I was in the public online and nobody was in tanks, I guess.
Well, take into consideration. You know what else is going on this weekend, right? So
right.
That's part of it too. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's part of it for sure. What about you, Kalrati? Your thoughts about 3.20? And I know you are going to have to speak around the barn there, but you can give us your general thoughts about this patch.
Yeah. So there definitely was the initial consensus that, apart from what was on the roadmap, that there wasn't going to be anything extra, but we have been greeted with some pleasant surprises. And I would have to say that, I have been pleasantly surprised. Like Meg explained, the Hull C, it did have its rough edges, for the entire week, but we're slowly starting to see those improvements. I'm really excited to talk about master modes with regards to Arena Commander. And yeah, I'm very curious with regards to the direction of Arena Commander in general, because that was also a pretty strong core of this patch.
Yeah,
and I think that is also why they kind of reduced, starting from I think Wednesday or Thursday's patch, they kind of disabled some modes to kind of increase testing and feedback for some of the other ones. And that is that could be possibly why, apart from what's been happening this week, why, Yo-Yo didn't really see a lot of people, because they're kind of trying to focus in, and kind of use the numbers that we have to kind of increase the feedback that we're getting. But yeah, so it's been getting there.
Yeah.
It's been getting there.
It has been. Okay, well, let's go ahead and jump into it and let folks know what we think about this particular patch. And as we said, guys, we're going to try to cut through this. There's a lot of stuff on this sheet. We're going to breeze through some of it. Some of it we can talk about in depth. Some of it we've only had a chance to touch on, because there really is a lot of stuff in here to check out within the past week. And hopefully we'll be able to share some stuff. And you guys, of course, can share stuff in chat, which is always great too. Okay, let's jump into this very first thing. Right at the beginning, as you guys know, when we get patch notes, we get this little introduction. The patch was released on not this Friday, but the Friday before. It went out to waves 1 and 2. As always, they want you to do a database. There was a database reset. Some of you guys know you start out like with 15 million credits, blah, 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 blah. The server regions, that's information there. Persistence, long-term persistence was enabled. And then like, again, 15 million bucks. That's basically what it was to get you started. This was one of those rare times where I needed to delete my user folder. A lot of times I don't have a problem with that, but this time I did. I had some real logging issues and couldn't figure out what was going on. And then as soon as I did that, everything was fine. So I'm not really sure what was happening with that, but that was the only headache I really had with getting into the game. No problems other than that. the very first thing that we've been hearing about for a long time was Seraphim Station. Meg, I don't know if you got a chance to go take a look at it.
Yep.
Bringing the Crusader port station in line with the other stations and replacing the long-standing Port Olisar. Seraphim Station brings many of the amenities needed to accommodate the various features required of the station, such as hangars, cargo decks, shopping, clinics, and hubs. What did you think of the station when you saw it? We know internally there was nothing unique per se. In other words, the look is still the same, they just added the different shops and stuff. But what did you think of the new design of the station comparison to Port Olisar?
Me? Sorry.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm Kalrati right now.
Yeah, I was confused myself. So I was like, is she talking about?
Oh, the name switched. Oh my God. I
I
didn't put the cameras in the right spot. That's my fault. Okay. I'm sorry. Kalrati, would you please tell it? No, Meg, you go ahead and tell us. I'll switch the names around. I didn't even notice the names were backwards. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so from the exterior, I mean, yeah, completely different than any of the other stations we've seen so far. So to me, it looks great. Love the from what I'm seeing, I didn't see this because I guess I didn't look closely enough, but all the what would you billboards, but they're not boards.
Oh, like the monitors, you mean, or the holographic stuff? Yeah,
boards. Yeah, those are great. Those look fantastic. I always love seeing those when it comes to the space stations.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it looks great. A lot. They kept the rings that we can blow up in, which is fantastic. Yeah, I love it. The interior, you were just saying, like kind of like the similar, but I also like the interior. It's not as copy paste. Like there are some things that are different that I like.
Yep. What about you, Kalrati?
Yeah, I really like the improvements to the exterior. I really do like it. It definitely shows that they have plans for extra building interior updates.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that they're still focusing on the building interiors for Pyro and those things and what they showed us and what they talked about before going back to things like Lowville, because we saw the exterior update with Lowville and as well as the interior updates with Seraphim and some other places as well. Yeah. It did strike me as curious as to why I think there are only 2 docking collars for Seraphim. And I mean, I get it that, they do still want to limit larger ships, but I figured, as we get closer and closer to, more and more player activity and NPC activity, that there should still be more than 2 docking collars. But once again, the good thing that they showed is the modularity and scalability of these stations and how they can continue to add on based on what they see and based on the progress of the project. So ultimately, I'm very curious to see what else they do with Seraphim. I know that I was looking at another live stream a couple months ago, or maybe a month ago, and I think it was one of the leads for the mission feature team. I think it was Elliot. I can't remember. And he did say that Port O had to go because I think due to the bounty hunting and those things coming in or being developed, at least, because we don't have the bounty hunting V2 yet.
Right.
And I think that's what they also talked about with in the ISC as well. So I'm very curious, to see what they have to do and how that fits in with the whole building interiors. Yeah. And I'm guessing that's the whole reason. And in addition to how this all fits in with the Hull C gameplay that we'll talk about very soon.
Yeah. I want to go back to something that Nick was saying in here, because I agree with him halfway of what he's saying. One of the things that let's talk about what you said, Kalrati, about why the station had to leave. CIG told us that basically for those of you who were around back in the day, Port Olisar was the very first place you used to spawn into when you came into the verse. And it was also built on a lot of the old game code. And CIG basically said that game code was incompatible or going to become more incompatible with the current code that they're using now. They have to actually specifically go in to adjust that because it was so different. And they're trying to get everything unified. So part of it was just the tech needed to be updated. But secondly, to Kalrati's point, things like the additional docking stations, the security level that they added, where the larger ships the big cap ships can load, like at the bottom of the station, all needed to be added, and they could not be added to the old Port Olisar. So they decided to do this new station. This station is a variation of other stations particularly like at Cruel 4 and some other stations that are in the game already. Now, what a point I want to mention about what Nick says is about looking for something that's more unique. And I agree with you, Nick, on that. They did say that they're trying to make it so that stations are indicative to the systems that they're in. So you're not going to see dramatic differences in the stations in Stanton. But the stations that are in Pyro do look different. The stations that are in Nyx do look different. Now, it would be exquisite if the stations then began to reflect the different planets. In other words, the station that's over ArcCorp, Bajini, would have its own look similar to designs representing ArcCorp. Same thing with Orison at Crusader. Same thing if Seraphim reflected Crusader more. But for now, at the tier they're at right now, the Stanton stations look the same, and that's just the way it is. Now, maybe in the future we will get that uniqueness, and if they do give us that, it would be fabulous. But I also don't want them spending a lot of time on stations right now. I want that could be something later on that we just start to see get built out. But I do agree with you that it would be nice if there was some variation in the stations. I just think it's just not there for right now. Okay. But anyway, Seraphim Station, I like it. It's big. It's definitely, you can definitely see it's an evolution of what Port Olisar used to be, and I'm looking forward to becoming active. I was a little bit disappointed that the security area and stuff wasn't functioning. I was hoping that was going to be somewhat in place, but it is there. Externally, it's there. Internally, it still looks like the old places, all the paint jobs and all that stuff, clinics, all that stuff still looks the same, but they are in different positions. And like you said, Meg, there are little variations and some things that are kind of cool they put in the station. So, all right, well, that's Seraphim Station. Let's move on beyond that. Let's talk about the automated cargo transfer and new cargo packing system.
It's colossal.
Yeah, Meg, could you read that one for us, please?
Yep. We are now supporting various size boxes to be placed in the cargo holds 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 24, and 32, as well as supporting various orientations of placement in the grid to work around grid obstructions. This also includes temporary tractor beam strength changes to support the attachment or detachment of those various size boxes using the tractor beam. Cargo grids have also been extended to support non-cargo box attachments and also the smaller mission handheld boxes.
And Kalrati, if you wouldn't mind, could you read the top half on the spreadsheet about that too as well?
You got it. So let me do this real good. So the Hull C requires a new experience where the player, after buying or selling the cargo at the commodity kiosk, will be prompted to pick it up or drop it off at the loading area. To do so, the player retrieves their vehicle, then hails the location's cargo services to get assigned a loading area, similar to getting assigned a landing area from ATC. After flying the ship to the loading area, they will be prompted to stop moving and then extend the spindles on their ship. Once the ship is ready, cargo will be added onto the cargo grids of the ship over a period of approximately 5 or so minutes, depending on the size of the load. Currently, these boxes will just pop into place. If the player moves or someone enters the area, the transfer will be interrupted until the disruption is addressed or the loading area is eventually revoked. After the transfer is complete successfully, the player will be prompted to leave the area, eventually getting a warning for impounding if they do not.
Okay. So let's talk about two things. Meg, I'm going to come back to you. Have you had a chance to do anything with trade or cargo to see how the boxes come into ships now? Have you had a chance to do it? Well, I'm asking Meg if she got a chance to see it yet.
Oh, me?
Oh,
Yeah.
You have seen it? The different boxes and stuff? Okay. Yeah. What ship? Do you remember what ship it was you were using when you did it?
Are we talking about the Hull C?
No. Just in general. Any ship. Even if it's the Hull C, any ship.
Yeah, the Hull C and the C2.
The C2, okay.
Yeah.
Because what people may not know is that those various box sizes you talked about now can get loaded into the ship. So you literally see various types of boxes, not just the one. What was the size before? 1 SCU? 2 8 SCU? What were those box sizes, the original ones?
Just one.
The 1 SCU? Okay. So now you can, depending on what your loads are, you can mix and match. You can have different sizes, all that good stuff pop into the ships now. Kalrati, you talked about the Hull C though, and I got to say this: I was a little confused when we talked about this thing coming with the Hull C, because here's the scenario I pictured, and several people that I talked to pictured, was that when the Hull C would come in, it would go to the cargo decks. Like that's where you would go. And when you wanted to put your order in, you would put your order in at the cargo decks, at that desk that's down there already, not the admin office. And you would just have a cargo, you would have a docking collar that came out of the cargo deck area. That to me would have made sense. I don't know why we don't have a docking collar at the cargo decks. We have what do we have? Like a little box that we have to go out there and hover and stop at, a hollow cube.
Yep.
And okay, I get it, guys. Proof of concept CIG, but come on, you had the cargo decks have been sitting there for 3 years, almost empty. What would it have taken to get the cargo, the docking collar to come out and attach? And just now we got to sit out there in ghost space, hover. You know what I mean? You're not locked down
to people like me.
Thank you. Let's talk about that. Yo, did you see what the issue is with people who can come in and give you grief? Have you heard about that? Oh, Kalrati.
No, just from reading that, I already was,
you already know, right?
Like, oh my god,
Kalrati.
can just disrupt what you're doing.
Exactly. Cool. And the kicker is they don't even have to mess with you. If they just come in the space, they shut down the cargo loading process. Okay, CIG. Perfect. Instant impound on anything that's not supposed to be there. Instant impound. If a freaking Aurora pulls into there, instant impound, $50,000 fine. Boom. Kills the whole griefing thing of it, okay? I don't get it. You're making it difficult. Am I missing something?
There are other ways to get around that, trust me.
Oh, well, yeah. When you keep wanting to get hit for 50 grand, that's cool with me, brother. It's not bothering me, But I'm saying instant impound. I mean, literally, like if you pull into that space, your ship disappears, you get sucked in, or hey, go to prison. Go to prison.
Yeah, that's another solution.
Go to prison. Hey, restricted area. You come in that sucker. There's a 5-second countdown, and boom, your ship is impounded for 50 grand, and you go to prison. That's how I feel about it. I know some of y'all don't like all that, but that's me. Hey. So anyway, go ahead. What are you gonna say, Kalrati? Any thoughts on that?
So for that aspect with regards to the whole loading system and stuff, I did feel that that it was a bit convoluted, because I mean, for those who've tested, you know that you have to go to admin, but first you have to make sure that your ship is delivered via the ASOP terminal.
Right.
You have to go to admin, buy the cargo, and then once the server and everything doesn't bug out, you spawn the ship, or you could have it spawned already. Then you have to undock. The cargo ATC version of ATC either automatically shows you where the holocube is to load, or you have to contact it via the comm link. You go there, wait, load your stuff, and then you go to the station, sell it. You kind of have to do the reverse method of that. And then if you want to buy cargo again, you have to do the reverse method of that to continue. So the current process does feel convoluted. And there are some forfeit conditions that I really, really hope persons pay attention to. I'm going to say one really, really quickly. It was my assumption that when you bought cargo and it was, assigned to your Hull C, you didn't spawn the Hull C and you have it loaded, and you didn't have it loaded yet, that it was tied to the Hull C. But what happened a couple of days ago is I forgot something at Area 18, and I was at by Genie Point. I bought the cargo for the Hull C, but it was still, despawned. And I thought, okay, I'll spawn my Avenger Titan, and I'll go to Area 18. I went to Area 18 and I saw a message notification pop up that my cargo was forfeited. So the cargo that you buy is actually tied to the player.
Yep.
So be very careful, and you lose your AT. Keep both your cargo and your Alpha UEC. So people, it is a temporary thing just to, see how, the whole cargo gameplay works, right? So just be careful. A way around that, if you buy your cargo and you forget and you want to leave the station early, spawn the cargo, get it loaded, and then, despawn it again. And then you can leave your station freely. Don't risk losing your million or couple million Alpha UEC.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I do see where they're coming from. Going back to what you said, Griff, real quick, with regards to why, we don't have the accommodation via the cargo deck. It's my assumption that either one, they didn't have time and they just wanted to get the proof of concept out there, or they have something else planned for cargo deck, and the interior that we see may not actually be the interior that we're going to be using. So that's my assumption as to why they maybe didn't put in the work to move the interaction of buying the cargo from the admin office to the cargo deck. That they're going to probably change it, but yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, but thanks for the warning about the leaving the station thing, because that does suck. Red Dragon, to answer your question, thank you. As your first time chatter, we've got folks here who've been here for 10 years, folks who've been here for 2 years. So it's a variety of experiences and time in the game. What was I going to say about Meg, I want to come back to you. One of the things that's difficult about Star Citizen is that people sometimes evaluate the game on where it is now versus where it's supposed to be later, right? And a lot of stuff that we get right now is proof of concept. Sometimes things come in and they're testing it just to see how it works and how we respond to it. Then there are other things that they're pretty confident that they're not going to be in the game. One of those things is the loading. You mentioned about the Hull C being loaded. And for those of you who haven't seen any video of it, we don't have any video here today. Usually I know we give you guys something to look at, but what happens is you pull into this area underneath by the cargo deck and you have your wings extended, and then the boxes start to load up, right? You start to see them, right, Meg? They start to pop in. If you've got a full load, it takes about 5 minutes for those boxes to pop in. But Meg, what we want to tell people is that the day is coming when it's not going to be 5 minutes. That if you've got a Hull C or a Hull D or a Hull E, it's going to be somewhat a combination of you hiring NPCs, manually loading it with your org or whatever, and instead of being 5 minutes, it may be 30 minutes. Now, let me share with you why we say that, guys. And I'm just giving you based on what CID's been doing so far. Kalrati, you weren't with us when we had that pirate attack a few weeks back with Ops Chief. Were you? Were you there that night? Were you with us? I was, yeah. Okay. Remember, now this is what happened, Meg. Ops Chief had a full C2 loaded, 1.2 million of stuff. He got pirated. We came back later after the pirates, and eventually we chased them off for a while. They had the ship for an hour, and it was at least, 6 to 8 of them, Kalrati, at least?
About that, yeah.
In an hour, they had only unloaded about 20% of that ship. And that was with 1 SCU boxes, okay? Now, all I'm saying is that if you're loading up stuff on the Hull C, if you're doing all 32 SCU boxes, it may be less time. You know what I'm saying? But if you're loading 4 SCU, 8 SCU, 16s, and all this other stuff, and you're using an SRV, and you're doing it, my question becomes, what's the process going to be? Do you think players are going to, I'm asking you this, Meg, she's grinning. Do you think that the players are going to handle, for some people, 5 minutes is too long. What if they find out it's going to take them 45 minutes to load their Hull C? You think players are going to be cool with that?
I'd say it's probably I just don't know the player base of this game, I guess, because I would argue that maybe 75% of the people understand that this is like a space sim. That's more realistic. Mm-hmm. So yes, they would actually possibly thoroughly enjoy that. Mm-hmm. And then the 25%, which is more like me, even though I would enjoy that, I get it. Mm-hmm. So I would enjoy it, but I come from games that are fast paced and they're just fast travel. Let's just get this done.
Yep.
I'd be annoyed, but.
So Meg is going to be the captain, Kalrati. That's what she's telling you now. Yeah, she's going to be the captain. She's going to hire her org, and then she's going to go do something else and come back 45 minutes later. That's what she's saying is going to happen, okay?
You ain't done yet? I've been, what am I paying you for?
You don't get paid until you're done.
Hey, there you go. See there? Y'all pirate Meg, y'all. Y'all hear it now, okay? So here's the deal, Meg. This is where other aspects of the game do come in, because some people will say, well, what will we do for that time? That's the reason why there are the restaurants and the bars and the social areas. Really, it is. Because, when your folks come to hook you up and you say, hey, I got a Hull C and I need to move 5 million in stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's when you get your gang and your crew together, and say, come on, we need to knock this out in 20 minutes so we can go do this stuff. And while the people are waiting, seriously, you might be like, I'm flying the ship. I'm going to go down here and get the food and stock up and get stuff ready so that when the ship's ready to go, we're ready to blow out of here, okay? But that's where all the iterative gameplay comes in. But I appreciate what you're saying. That's what's cool about it. There are some people that gameplay is going to really reach out to. But then there's other stuff that other players will be like, let me know when it's ready. You know what I'm saying? And I'm ready to hit it. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's cool. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on past the cargo stuff, y'all. Talk about stuff that none of us can talk about right now, which is the illegal salvage missions. Illegal salvage cover-up mission. Salvage cover-up is a new variation on the salvage missions. These new missions come as a new illegal mission contract called the tar pits to cover up for the perpetrator of a crime. In this case, Ninetales, who want to keep their involvement under the radar. You are tasked to hull scrape their entire ship to remove the Ninetales paint job before the ship evidence is discovered by security. If security forces arrive before you manage to perform the cover-up, the security ships spot the hull colors, report back, and you will fail and be attacked if at that location. Do it in time, and the tar pits will pay you handsomely for your efforts and your silence. Now, none of us got a chance to do this mission, but we did hear that these illegal missions were coming with Ninetales. So basically, you got a what they used to call a cleaner. That's basically what y'all know about a cleaner. Meg, do you know what a cleaner is?
No.
All right, here's what a cleaner is, right? I'm a hitman. I come after Kalrati and I bump him off. All right.
Try.
You get what I'm saying? I bump him off, and then you come into the place and you say, "Oh man, Griff killed off Kalrati, but he left a mess." You get on the horn and you call a cleaner. That's the person that shows up, cleans up all the blood, the body, puts the room looking back to normal, and then when everybody comes back later, nobody knew nothing happened. So this mission is kind of like a cleaner mission. You get hired to basically go out there and strip that ship down before security finds out that that's a Ninetales ship. Okay. Sounds pretty cool. Somebody who wants to go out there and do that, but it says it pays handsomely. I don't know if anybody in chat knows what handsomely is yet, because I have not done this mission. If anybody has, please let us know how much you make on this particular mission. All right. Okay. Anybody got any thoughts on that one, Meg or Kalrati? If not, we'll press on.
So I would say that not just this mission, because I did do the legal salvage missions before, and I aim to do both of them when 320 goes live. It's nice to see that they're creating more of these, I would say, modular pieces, because we know that they're still working toward a dynamic mission system. And this dynamic mission system will support the interlocking of different missions in a lot more deeper scale, because that's how they want to link the mission system to quantum to make the missions feel a lot more natural, a lot more dynamic, a lot more emergent in some way. So it's nice to see this, and I have my thoughts on how this kind of thing could also work with the update to, I think it was, I don't know if we have a dedicated card to it, with regards to the new missions, or rather the update to the ship pools in those bounty missions. So it's, but we could always talk about that later.
Okay, gotcha. All righty, we'll move on then. Let's go back to this one. Meg, you started out talking about this a little bit, the Hull C. Give us your initial thoughts. I know you talked to me, you're into the small ships, and by the way, I saw that you ended up with a big ship. Finally, somebody broke your pattern and gave you a big ship. But but I don't know, does this fall into that category for you, for hey, too big for me, I'm not into this thing, or were you impressed by it, or something you would think about, or nah, not for me? The Hull C.
Okay, so a little bit of backstory here.
Okay.
I saw the Hull C a couple of months ago, I think, and it blew my freaking mind, which introduced me into the rest of the whole line, which also blew my mind even more, knowing that they just get bigger and bigger. The Hull A is cute. I think it's too small. This is the Hull C. I feel like the Hull B would be nice. Is there a Hull B?
Yeah.
Okay. It'd be weird if there wasn't.
It would be.
The Hull B would probably be like as big as I go. The C's not too big, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's
but I like it.
Yeah.
It's very nice. I've become a sucker for MISC ships more and more. I like their look, and It looks really nice. I'm excited for that walkway in between the two different parts. I don't know what else we'd call them, but those getting bigger and bigger. I think somebody said at some point like you could even drive like a PTV through there with like the D or something. I was like, wow. But yeah, that tunnel system is really neat. I like the exterior door on the top of where that
in the back
engine is.
engineering area.
That's a really cool. I stumbled upon that. I don't even know if I fully walked through the entire ship. It was a bit of a maze for me for some reason.
It's a
but
big
it
ship.
looks really nice. Yeah, the interior is great. That's another thing I like about MISC ships. I really like the interiors. It also comes with a freaking captain's chair, which is great. I like that about the Starfarer. I just wish you could do more. I could be wrong. Maybe you can do stuff in the captain's seat. I don't know if you know Kalrati or Griffin, but yeah, I like that about the ship, and yeah, this is great.
Okay, cool. Kalrati, your thoughts on the Hull C? Well, let me say this real quick too, Meg, just so you'll know, the Hull C is in lore the most used trade or cargo ship in the game, even with NPCs. So if there's ever a ship that you're going to see that's hauling stuff back and forth beyond players, this is like us watching trucks on the expressway or freight trains. The Hull C is the most one that's used most in the game. So whether it's NPCs or players, you're going to end up seeing a lot of them in game, just in general, as the way that they move stuff around. Okay.
Yeah, it gets me excited for more systems.
Oh, absolutely.
Bigger ships are so necessary.
Yeah. Kalrati, your thoughts on the Hull C?
Yeah, Griff. As you know, coincidentally, as you mentioned, and reminded me that it's the most used cargo ship in the systems. It reminded me way back on Microsoft Freelancer, where they had, I can't remember the name of the freight ship, but that's one of the things that I look forward to seeing in the Hull C, or rather being used in the Hull C by NPCs. You have your Hull C, you have the escorts, and you can either, escort it from one point to another, or you can raid it yourself, But one of the things I definitely give the devs props on is when they told us that the Hull C is, I think, a combination of two different modular halves, where the two object containers have to kind of blend in with regards to the physics grids. The first thing that got me worried was, okay, what's going to happen when, the server is loaded? Is it going to desync and everything? But it is absolutely smooth. Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm talking too quickly and we have to see until live releases, but I don't know if it uses the same, thing as two physics grids interacting, or rather an extension between how the Merlin docks with the Connie ships. But I was pleasantly surprised, and it just goes to show that they definitely know what they're doing. It could be, it takes a little bit of extra time, but they definitely know what they're doing. And the last thing I do want to say is, I'm curious to know whether or not they're taking design inspiration from the interior and applying it to the update of the Starfarer. Because, I mean, personally, I do love the interior of the Starfarer, but I think I'm in the minority with regards to that. I do love how confusing it is as an FPS level. But I'm guessing they're taking some design inspiration from the Hull C and applying it to the Starfarer. I'm curious to know to what extent, Well,
let me take it further. I think what they're doing is, and I could be wrong, but I think that the Hull A became the new standard for MISC ships, because this one definitely reflects the interior. As far as the interior design and exterior, it reflects what they did with the Hull A for sure. And I'm hoping that is the new look for it, because it's a much more, the other one kind of had like a throwback retro-y steam look, but this one is more futuristic to me, both internally and externally. So I like the new look, and I hope they do carry it over. And I know they're going to do the whole interior rework on the Starfarer, like you said. We'll have to see where that ends up being. CIG's learned a lot in the sense of layout and what's intuitive as far as what they do interior, but also because of the issues with NPCs being able to walk around, a whole lot of the stuff that they're going to have to move some things around. For me, to your point, the Hull C's been a long time coming, and it's so funny. There's a lot of stuff that we have in Star Citizen that we've gotten so used to that we've forgotten that there are some real technological feats being done. And for them to be able to create this ship with the cargo grids, and as you mentioned, the modularity of the sections, Yo-Yo, you mentioned about the fact that there's these two external ends of a ship, the main area in the front and the engineering area. I mean, there's a lot of tech that goes into making all that work and work well, and that it's all speaking and connecting to each other, like as if it was the real thing. You know what I mean? There's not any tricks being played here. They really had to be able to create those grids, because later on, your cargo manifests and things like that. Like right now, when you go down to the TDD and you go sell something like salvage, you actually see what boxes are on those locations, right? You see the different individual boxes. Well, they want to make it to such a degree that not only do you see what boxes are there, but what's in those boxes. And we've seen that detailed. We're going to talk about the multi-tool now, which now has that feature being built into it where you can actually see what's in the boxes when you move the multi-tools now. So, a lot of times we don't, again, this goes back to what we were saying earlier, where the game is now versus where the game is intended to be later on. This is a pretty big feat for this ship. And it's definitely, to Meg's point, imagine when we see the Hull D and the Hull E, the scale of the ship. We're at 4,092, something like that, SCU on this thing. You start getting into the Hull D and E where the numbers are 5 digits. It's kind of crazy to think about what these ships are going to be able to carry later. So
they'll have to increase or make new box sizes, because even 32 SCU, I don't think that's large enough.
It's big. Yeah, it's crazy to think about it when you think about it in the end. Let's go over to what Meg was talking about earlier. Some of you all may remember that CIG talked about Rastar. Meg, if you wouldn't mind, would you read that and then we'll talk about it a little bit?
Yep. How do you say it? You said
Rastar?
Rastar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Rastar.
Rastar is a tool which is used to quickly build POIs on planet surfaces by combining pre-built modules together at the click of a button. They also change the way which mission locations are set up and streamed in. Essentially, they are the future of creating planetary locations. This update moves all our original UGFs, which I don't know what that stands for.
What, UGF?
Yeah.
Underground facility.
Underground facility?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All our original UGFs over to the new Rastar tool workflow. All UGFs have been replaced in the same positions as they were previously, with the settings they previously had applied to them reapplied where appropriate. This means functionally the current locations should be no different than they were before on the mission side of things. And also art-wise should be the same, bearing some minor adjustments to the exterior layout of each location.
So some of you guys remember what the Rastar piece is, but it's basically it's like the I don't know, like the prop setting, like where the buildings and everything land, and they've got it set up so that it kind of makes sense, but every station looks unique in some form. And right now, there's nothing internally in the UGFs and the underground facilities that has changed. But on the external, I did a mission the other day just to see what it was like, and I went to one of the former locations, and what I saw was not just what used to be just the UGF with some container crates and things around it, but now there are other buildings, there's other stuff that's out there. It's spread out wider in the area as well. So I don't know, Kalrati, do you think that one of the reasons that's there is because they've talked about being able to implement things like NPCs or guards at other places? So now everything's not centralized around just that main building, but there are other, you know what I mean, hiding places, other stuff. But it's, it looks, like I said, every place looks a little more different now. It doesn't look like they're just like copy and paste of other locations.
Yeah, Griff. To build on what you talked about, the word that you mentioned, unification. It's a tool that they're aiming to, firstly, unify all the props, unify all the interactions between, the procedural AI, the nav mesh placements, and all those things to not only create and, help the developers to put in those things a lot easier, but a lot faster too, in a more procedural way. There are some artifacts that you may see when you're testing. Like, for example, when I was going back up the elevator, I saw this floating rock right next to me. I was like, okay. But, it's getting there, so it's good that they've been able to integrate this. And I don't doubt that they're also using it for their other placements and of locations and such that they haven't really shown us yet. Because remember, when they start building out star systems, they have to integrate nav mesh, procedural AI, props, unique procedural assets, all those things in a short enough time, and then move on to the next thing, because if they don't do that, and if they don't have a unified system to do that or tool, it's going to take them some time. And of course, eventually, once things go well, we'll be using a variation of this for our base building as well. So it'll have to be in one complete package for us as gamers to be able to use a varied version in a much more simplified way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got you. I'm going to ask that you guys in chat, please keep the chat on a good level. Let's not go anywhere really bad, because we really want to be able to be both positive and critique the game, but I don't want to get into a big conversation.
They said Fight Club, guys.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a big conversation about the PTU, because that's not what this particular show is about. So let's keep it focused on where we are. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm impressed with the whole thing with Rastar, and I'm hoping that we see it get developed even more for the interiors, because that's what I'm really looking forward to. And I know CIG says that there's going to be this whole new unique design that's going to be coming up with that too. So something else to look forward to. But, these tools have been long time coming, and they're finally getting in place now. And like you said, they'll expedite us being able to go further out with when we start getting to the other systems and stuff happening very quickly too. Okay. Let's go ahead and hit this next one here. Now, I'm a little ignorant in this area. I'm a lot ignorant in this area, because I'm not really had a chance to go monkey around with this thing with the wheeled vehicle handling. They did updates and improvements to the current ground vehicle movement parameters and simulation, allowing for more robust tuning and identity between various ground vehicles. I know people who are into the esports are probably going to be the ones that really, really feel this more than anyone, because I think you have to be using those vehicles a lot to get it. But I don't know, Meg, Kalrati, if either of you had a chance to test anything out with any of the vehicles, because basically what they're saying is this: vehicles should all feel unique and very different, both in their handling, weight, their response. And one of the complaints has been that there hasn't been a lot to distinguish the difference in some of the different vehicles. So I don't know, Kalrati, Meg, either of you had a chance to monkey with this? Because I honestly, during PTU, I've not had a chance to monkey around with it. Whoever wants to go first.
Meg, you're gonna go first.
You can go.
All right. So I only got a chance to test it very briefly. That was with Tumbril, and I don't know if, and this was about almost a week ago. So I don't know if they've made it further in tuning, but I do notice that when you go up a hill, it's a lot more difficult to actually continue going up the hill. It does feel more realistic, where if you don't have enough speed, you can't literally Spider-Man your way up if you don't have the momentum, and you literally roll back down if you don't have that kind of momentum. And when you actually take inclines, you don't especially on a 1G planet, you don't how in most cases, since your front leaves the ground first, it should actually tilt down in a more parabolic motion. So in this case, it's reflecting that now, as opposed to just I'm doing the Chris Roberts, I know, as opposed to just leaving some kind of incline and staying this way instead of actually doing this way. So it feels a lot more reflective of what's supposed to happen. It did feel a little drifty. I don't know if that was because of the terrain or they needed some more tuning. But one thing to note also is that it only applies to wheeled vehicles, not even track vehicles. So it does not apply to the tanks. So only the wheeled vehicles for now. And I guess, they'll build off of that if it's hover vehicle handling improvements and track vehicles handling improvements eventually.
Yeah. Prisoner, thank you for the 100 bits. We appreciate that as always. Thank you. Meg, I never did ask you, are you into the whole vehicle racing thing? Because I know you like a lot of stuff fast and quick, but I never got a chance to ask you, are you into the vehicles at all?
I'm into the vehicles a lot, but I've never done actual racing, like race tracks or anything like that. I usually just take them out and goof off.
Okay. So you haven't had a chance to test this either in PTU? Because I haven't.
So really, no. I got out and tested the STV, but I have not compared it to the other vehicles. So really, no.
Okay. Is that your vehicle of choice, the STV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty fast.
It is. No, it's a cool vehicle. Actually, it's a surprising vehicle. A lot of people seem to like this, the Steve, as they call it. Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool. All right. Let's jump into this one. Kalrati, would you mind reading that one, the AI ship balance?
Yeah, sure. So the AI ship difficulty rebalance. Favorite. Until now, there has been a very small of ships available to use as AI in missions. With this new change, we have included every ship able to QT into the mix for both criminals and civilians, though some that didn't make sense for criminals have not been added, like Cutlass Blue, for instance. This update includes a full AI ship rebalance of difficulties. Ships have been divided into difficulty bands, which have mainly been derived from large data sets based on PvP analytics. Finally, we have also made a new ship difficulty band of very hard, which is now reflected in the very hard bounty/assassination missions.
Okay. Let's talk about that a little bit. As you guys know, NPCs have normally been coming in certain types of ships, but CIG has expanded that now, right, Kalrati? It's beyond that.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
They'll show up in a lot of stuff, right? Yeah. Meg, have you had any of that happen yet where some other ship showed up now that wasn't like a typical Cuddy Black or, certain ships that used to always show up as NPC ships?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've done the, what's it called? I'm blanking. Combat assist beacons.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't, we're not, like, if we're talking strictly like bounty stuff, then no, but doing those, yeah. I mean, I've seen reclaimers out there. I mean, we've seen reclaimers more, but I feel like I've seen Starfarers, Connies. Yeah, definitely more ships.
Yeah. And if you've done any of those missions where, like, sometimes people get the mercenary missions or the missions where you go down to like the what do you call it, like a settlement or something like that, and you, like, one time we literally took some ships out, and then as soon as we landed and got out the ships, another group of ships showed up, and they were various different ones too, that we weren't expecting. And it wasn't just like a Cutlass Black and some other stuff. I have yet to have the Cuddy Black thing show up. What mission is that where the Cuddy Black shows up and they actually NPCs jump out?
Oh, so those are the delivery missions, actually. But I haven't seen the NPCs jump out in quite.
Well, usually they don't. Yeah, people go in and kill them, right? They don't get out.
They're on the mercenary missions as well.
They are?
At their like outposts. Yeah, you usually go there and there's like 8 exploded Cuddy Blacks.
Okay. All right. So evidently they've done some rebalancing for the AI in the ships, and I do want to talk about AI a little bit later because there's some things that I'm wondering whether or not CIG is beginning to test. I don't know if this is Quanta or whether it's just AI stuff. We will talk about it a little bit later, but I am curious to see what you guys think about it when we get to it. Okay, let's move on. We're chopping through because we're almost at the top of the hour. Vaulting and mantling. Air ledge grab improvements. Implementing updated vaulting and mantling improvements that make the process much more smooth and intuitive for players. This update allows players to now be able to grab ledges while running and jumping, low-high vault while running and or in midair, and allows low-high mantle while running and or in midair. Meg, I don't know if you were around back when this was in here before. Kalrati, do you remember what patch it was back in the day where we actually could vault and mant over the railings? Remember, like, if you were in the UGF, you used to be able to climb, like, you could run and jump and climb over them, not just jump over them, but you literally animated over them. And they took it out.
Yeah.
Do you remember how long ago that was?
Yeah, but so they took it out for a time.
Do you remember what patch that was? When that was?
I cannot remember. It was some time ago.
Yeah, Meg, that was before your time, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Definitely.
Sorry. I didn't mean to definitely that.
No, that's okay. It's okay. No, yeah, she's making us like the old guys around here. Yeah, definitely was before my time.
I know, right?
Right, I know. No, there was a time where you could, Meg, you could run to the railings and you literally would grab them and jump over them, and then they took it out. And but then CIG did tell us that they were now going to make it where you could run and jump. Like right now, we go up to the wall and then you kind of half run and jump. It's a weird, you know what I mean? It's a weird technique to grab a wall. But now they've expanded it more. Okay, so now what I don't know about is this mid-air stuff. Have you guys tried that yet?
I'm pretty sure, does that not refer to the Cuddy Black?
I mean, be able to climb into the ship, you mean? From the side? It might be. I haven't tried it.
That's vaulting,
I did,
right?
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that is. Yeah. Because you couldn't do it in the Black before. You could do it in the Valkyrie, I think. But that was like built into the Valk. But this is like everything, like ledges, caves, whatever. Now, like when you get to those derelict ships and you need to jump up, all that stuff. Now it's supposed to be expanded further. But you can do it in the Cuddy Black? You did it?
You definitely can do it in the Black.
Oh, nice.
But that's all I've experienced. I haven't tried doing it anywhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, likewise. I specifically did it with the Cuddy Black because I know that on low G planets it was easier, but 1G, it was hell. And I actually did it on a 1G planet. It was great.
Yeah.
You were talking about trying to tell people about watching out for their cargo with the Hull C. They need to watch out for that now. They're gonna people are used to leaving their
jumping their ship. Yeah, that's true.
It's gonna be gone.
That's true. That's very true. Very true. Yeah. Who was that who just asked that question? Someone asked, was this in 320? The answer to that is yes. This is coming in 320. It went by so fast, I can't remember who it was.
Oh, it was Wraith Squadron.
Oh, Wraith. Yeah, Wraith. This is stuff we're talking about that's in the PTU right now. That we are testing and playing with right now. Okay, vaulting.
The air thing. I did experience it in the Hull C when I actually turned around and I kind of ignored the ladder animation. I just turned around and instead of facing the ladder, I fell down. When I turned around to face the ladder, midair actually grabbed onto the ladder.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was a pleasant surprise.
Nice. Yeah. There was something else about the Hull C that I meant to mention earlier. I completely forgot, but I'm gonna let it go because we're way past it at this point. Let's talk about mining and stability. For those of you who are into mining, you guys know there were some major changes in 3.19. Some people weren't really happy with that, but CIG has done some more adjustments. One of the big ones that they've done is with mining stability. And if I'm understanding this correctly, because I went out and did a little bit of this, basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kalrati or Meg, if either of you guys have done this. Now your mining lasers power affects stability. The more power you give to the rock, you're cutting through it quicker, but it also gets a little bit more unstable. If you take it to a lower number, you don't get the instability as much when you're trying to crack a rock. So in other words, you really have to be paying attention to what you're doing. Nothing wrong with pumping the power up and getting it up there, but once you get it there, there's a lot of different things you can do. You can I'm going to call them cheats. There are a lot of different techniques when you're cracking a rock. Some of it is a matter of just, adjusting your power. Sometimes it's a matter of just pulling your ship back or moving it forward just enough to get that, that sweet spot to stay for you. There's a lot of techniques that miners use. Everybody does it a little bit differently. But there is a difference with stability now, where before the stability seemed to be kind of wild. You don't get that feeling or that sense now when you're trying to break a rock in the game. So they've kind of done that with the stability of the rocks. Okay. Meg, do you mind?
Do I mind reading this?
No. Do you? No. M-I-N-E. M-I-N-E. Not D. Not D. Not with a D. With an E. With an E. With an E. Not a D.
I'm sorry. Yeah. In 319, I actually got into mining some more, but I haven't done it at all in PTU.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely have seen the difference in the stability. I was mining a lot with Abdi, and he's a genius at all that stuff and doing all that research and finding things. And yeah, there's a lot to mining. It's actually kind of crazy. It's way more challenging than salvaging. But again, like we were kind of talking about earlier with how things can be more difficult, it's kind of makes it more realistic and fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I get exactly what you're talking about, but I have not tested it all.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting as you made that comparison with salvage, because salvage is still like at tier 0. It really is. And mining's probably like a tier 4 now. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see where salvage, progresses further. Because there's a part of mining that it can be very basic and very simple if you want it to be, or it can be as in depth as you want it to be, which is kind of cool. Which is a cool feature as far as I'm concerned. Okay. All right, let's jump into these next areas. Now, we're going to kind of all rely on each other here because, as you guys know, when 3.2 went through 3.2.320 went to Evocati, the first thing that Evocati was Arena Commander, which was, kind of off-putting. Some people kind of thought, oh, wow, normally they're getting the game, but no, it was Arena Commander. And we were hearing all this stuff about Arena Commander. When we did our show last week, the AI show, we talked about how CIG wants Arena Commander to be a much more integrated part to the persistent universe. Right now, we log in to separate menus. You log into either the PU, the universe, or you log into Arena Commander. But the idea eventually is that all this stuff will be unified. So in game, when you are, Meg, when you're training your people in your org and y'all trying to learn how to go out there and do some straight combat, the idea is that you guys have bought those pods that are down in the store and put those in your ship, and your people on your ship will get in those pods and do their simulation, and they'll be loading into Arena Commander. That way you guys can get all your practicing in and combat in and flying techniques and not have to worry about getting a crime stat. That's kind of the direction that they're trying to go with this thing with Arena Commander. So people might be wondering, why is Arena Commander expanding so much? Well, that's partially why. They want you to be able to do some other things other than just Vandal Swarm or Pirate Swarm. So we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit here, okay? Arena Commander has had a huge update, you all. Huge, okay? A lot different. It does not look like the animal it was before. They're trying to do this unified front end and lobby system. You're going to see that the lobby system is totally new. The spawning and loadout module refactor, and there's new rewards that have been added. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like now, when you go in, these are the different game modes that are available to you now. Before there were only 4. Now you got 9 different things going on, including Tank Royale, which y'all left Meg standing out there by herself in, okay? But you can see there are some old familiars here: Vandal Swarm, Pirate Swarm, Classic Race, and Free Flight. But now they've added an area for master modes, for squadron battles, the Tank Royale, and then dealing with controls and stuff. And we're going to talk a little bit about those as well. There's also a master mode, Vandal Swarm, that's out there for 2, okay? Let's jump into this a little bit. The game modes. An exciting new initiative for Arena Commander has experimental modes. Rotate for a limited time throughout the patch cycle. These modes range from simple variants of existing modes like single weapon elimination to brand new modes that explore new mechanics, locations, or even in development features before they reach the persistent universe, like part of the new flight model, Master Modes. Now, you guys know this. Master Modes is only in the Arena Commander segment of this patch. It has not been implemented into the PU. So if you're going into the universe wondering where's Master Modes, it's not there. It's only in Arena Commander right now. Some of the new modes are Gun Rush, Tank Royale, Team Tank Battles, Single Weapon Elimination, Duels, Too Fury, Too Furious, and the Master Modes for Free Flight, Dueling, and Endless Vandal Swarm. That one I have not tried, but I heard about it, Kalrati. Can you tell people a little bit about, well, Yo-Yo, you never did get to do Tank Royale. You waited, but it never happened, right?
That's true.
All right, y'all.
It's like to wait in
we
there.
Gonna get Meg and we're gonna get together and we're gonna go out there and do that Tank Royale with Meg, all right? Yes. Kalrati, can you talk a little bit about people may be curious about what that Endless Vandal Swarm is. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, if you're feeling up to it, firstly, you can try it in single player, but you're definitely going to experience what Vandal Swarm feels like. But yeah, so, long story short, it's a lot of Vandal, even get-go, even from the first wave. They spawn, you have a maximum of approximately 4 persons who can play in online. And you have a timer where in the first wave, a certain amount of Vandals swarm and they start attacking you. Now, given that it's master modes, you cannot, easily escape or apply boost or go into cruise mode to kind of dodge the missiles or, the missiles and the guns and those things. Your maximum speed is, I think, if I recall, 250 meters per second. You can use boost, right, to go up to about 500 meters per second, depending on the ship. In this case, it's the Gladius. But at the same time, they stay on you, right? The reduced speed allow those Vandal to literally swarm on you, and they just continue to spawn. There is no limit. There is no maximum limit. The highest wave I've reached is 36. That was the highest wave I reached with 3 other people. All of us were equally skilled because we had to literally destroy as many Vandal as possible before the others spawn, because I don't know, I can't remember if it's a bug or not, but you have a timer, a countdown timer per wave, and even if you don't destroy all the Vandal, once that countdown timer reduces, more Vandal pop up, right? So it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it with restricted speed, because you have to kind of dodge them a lot more. And the good thing about it is that I mean, I don't know if this is a good thing depending on the person, but the HP, it actually feels like an actual ship now. You don't just give it a few hits and it instantly is destroyed, similar to how you would see in Pirate Swarm, in traditional Pirate Swarm and traditional Vandal Swarm. When you hit them, you really have to continue hitting them as if they have the familiar HP that other ships or a regular glaive in the PU actually has. So it takes time, and you have to be very careful, very especially when it comes to coordination. You have to be very precise with regards to those things, because once again, Master Modes comes with its own tuning. So yeah, it feels a lot of fun. There are some things that I would that I've seen a lot of persons give feedback on, because as that sea of red targets come online, it's a bit difficult to decipher what it is that you're actually targeting versus what you're not. And of course, once whatever's targeted is also red. So there are some improvements that they need to make, I think, on that front, particularly for folks whose eyesight's aren't 100%. They kind of have to like make those that contrast a little bit more contrasty, but especially when it comes to the pips and those things. But yeah, it's Vandal Swarm is a lot of endless fun.
Okay, Meg, is there any these other game modes that interest you? Because you seem to be interested in the tank. Was the tank royale, the battle royale for the tanks? Is that the one you were going for?
Yeah, that one. I mean, a bunch of tanks.
Okay,
it's kind of like what is it, Warhammer? What's the other one? World of Tanks. But on Star Citizen. Like, I'm excited for Star Citizen to be a home for many different types of games, so that I don't have to like go elsewhere to get that gameplay. Because like the games I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, also, the different game modes. I'm excited because like I've told you before, Star Citizen is my first space game at all. First sim, and I grew up on like Black Ops, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, like those games, and so I'm probably going to be spending a lot more time in Arena Commander than I did before. Like, hardly ever touched Arena Commander, and now I'm like pretty excited to test these new modes.
Yeah. Okay,
Meg, you need to try Gun Rush also then.
Yeah.
Definitely, we have to get her to try Gun Rush also.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on and hit the next one here. Let's talk about the master modes, because people have been hearing about this for a while, and there's been mixed feelings about it. I got a chance to try it out a little bit. Meg, if you don't mind, could you read the master modes piece for us here?
Yep. Experimental versions of Free Flight, Duel, and a special endless version of Vandal Swarm will host a collection of features that update our flight model. The original game modes will be unaffected and remain playable. Dubbed Master Modes, this feature encompasses many changes to our flight systems, detailed below. Note below will detail default keybinds. Master Modes includes several new features: aiming version 2, new gimbal behaviors, new aiming UI for pips, auto gimbal, crosshairs, etc. Targeting v2, new targeting behaviors with new keybinds, auto targeting, targeting brackets, flight tuning, and a newly updated UI that comes with that.
Okay, alrighty. We're going to take a break here because we are at the midpoint of our show. I was supposed to do the break before we read this, Meg, so please forgive me, but we are going to come back and talk about this for a little bit. As you guys know, we mentioned earlier that we're doing a fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Hospital, and you guys have been fabulous. You've been wonderful. You guys have helped us raise $2,325 for St. Jude Children's Hospital for cancer research, and we are looking to raise $10,000 by CitizenCon. We've already raised this much since June, first week in June, and we would like to reach the goal of $3,000 within the next week or so, because when we get to $3,000, we're going to do our very first 12-hour live stream. As we mentioned earlier, Kalrati will be in his swim shorts in a pool. Woo! And we're going to do all that. No, I'm just kidding. But we are going to have many guests and folks come join us for our 12-hour live stream, and you guys can help us get there. So let's take a quick look at this video on St. Jude, and then after that, we're going to come back and talk about the show. So let's see. I got to make sure I close out the right thing here. I got too many buttons, guys. Too many buttons. Turn that one off and come back here. And here we go.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and YouTube are teaming up to help end childhood cancer.
In September, supporters from across the nation come together during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month to raise money for the kids of St. Jude.
And that's when YouTube gamers will be posting videos and live streaming to raise funds to support the life-saving mission of St. Jude.
At St. Jude, families never receive a bill for treatment, travel, housing, or food, because all a family should worry about is helping their child live.
Money raised also supports the research that leads to groundbreaking medical discoveries that St. Jude freely shares around the globe.
I can only imagine as a parent the relief that they feel when someone like St. Jude steps in.
I think it's a really good lesson for us to realize that we need to do more, and we can do more.
It is a huge step in the right direction, a huge step in helping just people and giving back.
It's all for good, and we have a responsibility, a social responsibility to help out.
Find your favorite video or live stream during St. Jude Play Live on YouTube for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and donate to this amazing cause.
Your support will help St. Jude further its incredible mission.
Finding cures, saving children.
Let's end childhood cancer together.
Alrighty, let's end childhood cancer together. You guys have already, as I said, gotten us past our first 3 tiers. $500, $1,000, $2,000. We're on our way to $3,000, and we know you guys can help us get there. So please share with other folks. Let them know about our fundraiser that we're doing for St. Jude Children's Hospital. Even if they don't know anything about Star Citizen, they probably are familiar with St. Jude Children's Hospital and the wonderful work that they do. But again, we are we just went up. We are now $650 away from our goal. We can reach it. Our numbers are spinning 24. We are now $600 away from our goal. You guys are amazing. You guys are already creeping up. It creeped up right in front of my eyes. That's fabulous. And we want to get to that $3,000 mark, hopefully by the middle of this month. That's what we're shooting for. But you guys could help us get there tonight. So let's see if we can get to at least 2,500 tonight. Another $100, that would be awesome. But you guys, thank you so much that you are even considering to donate towards St. Jude Children's Hospital. You guys are marvelous. We appreciate you. And thank you, Ice Cold Joe 42. Thank you for following and being here with us. And once again, Expat Brat, thank you for sending your folks over. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. We really do appreciate you. Okay, that is it on St. Jude. Let's go ahead and jump back. I hit it really right behind itself, so hopefully it'll pick back in. Let's see. Are we live? Streaming live. See if it comes back on. There we go. We lost everybody for a hot second. Sorry about that, gang. All right.
Dedicate crash.
Yeah, I know. That was crazy. All right. Okay, so we were talking about master modes. Yeah, I know. 30K in real life. I know, boss lady. I know. All right. We were talking about master modes. Ship Club DJ, thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate you. Meg, you just got finished talking about master modes. Here are some things to talk about with features. Have you monkeyed around with this, Meg, yet?
Master modes or the speed?
Master mode.
No.
Okay. All right. So you're luck up on this one because I'm going to screw it up. So Kalrati's going to have to be the one. Mr. Fighter Pilot over here is going to have to correct us on this. And Kalrati talked a little bit about these earlier. Again, there's been a mixed feeling about master modes. And you guys know this is not the first time that CIG has twiddly-diddlied with the flight model. You know, there have been times when they've hit it on the mark, sometimes when it's not completely there, sometimes when we've hated it, hover mode, other times when they've gone back and redone some things. And I think that they're getting closer to what's cool. Some people may not like it, but when you understand what they're trying to eliminate and what they're trying to achieve, the question is, how do you get there? One of the things they're trying to eliminate is jousting. They're trying to get away from this whole deal of us just zoom. Nobody's hitting anybody. Nobody's doing anything. They're also trying to eliminate the idea of people who can just take off and fly away. And there's a bunch of things they're trying to eliminate. They are trying to get us to fight more air combat style, kind of. And I know some of you all are not going to like to hear this, kind of World War II style, where there's much closer proximity, where you're targeting components and systems and ships. So you're targeting engines, you're targeting maybe the shield emitters, you're targeting even the quantum drive. They want you to be able to be tight like that. You can't do that at 4,000 kilometers out. They want you to be much tighter in fighting, okay? And they're trying to balance it in such a way that you're not catering to the noob, but you're not also catering to the fighter ace. They're trying to find some happy ground, which is why your comments are important to help get this thing into a really cool place. Okay, so let's talk about some of the stuff. And Meg, if you got any questions, feel free to toss them, because you might be thinking the same thing other people are thinking about. Kalrati, you talked about this earlier, SCM speed. When you're in your ship now, your ship goes to a max of SCM speed unless you boost. If you boost, it will exceed that. If you come off of boost, you come back to SCM speed. But there is a negative. When you boost, you lose the ability to fire weapons. Correct, Kalrati?
Correct.
Okay.
Wait, when you boost, you lose
to fire weapons.
You can still still fire weapons.
What is it?
Only when you're in nav mode, you lose the ability to fire weapons.
Nav mode. I'm sorry, nav mode. Okay. So let's talk about that, because there's now nav mode, which we didn't have this distinction between master mode and nav mode. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So first thing first, for those who've played Microsoft Freelancer, when you click on cruise mode, you can fire weapons. It's exactly like that. But for those who didn't play Freelancer, nav mode is just their way to actually kind of segment the SCM, and if you actually want to go somewhere, but also create that kind of balance where they want to keep space or combat interaction. Doesn't even have to be combat only, but that kind of interaction at a slower speed. And of course, there are some consequences to it. Like we see in the screen, you can't use weapons, your shields go down. And of course, you also eventually, that's not in Arena Commander, once we have quantum boost, we will be able to boost over a short distance, as opposed to using the full-on, quantum travel mode that we have to go from over a longer distance. So that's what nav mode really is about currently.
Yep. And supposedly your energy gets into a buffer, some type of weird buffer, that when you come out of nav mode, it doesn't instantaneously bring your shields back, but it does start to come back. So there's a moment of vulnerability, basically. There's a period of vulnerability. It's like you got to choose which one do you want to do. Is this go for the speed and get away and navigate, or is it the fact that it's hang back, but you keep your shields and everything up? So you have to be thinking about what it is you want to do. Alex, the Droog, howdy, and thank you for the 100 bits. We truly appreciate that. Wait, were you going to say something?
I would say one thing, though.
Yeah.
So master modes definitely makes you decide whether or not you want to. Because I faced a couple people. I don't know if they were intentionally doing it or if they made a.
Well, you cut out a little bit. Say that again. You cut out.
So I faced a couple persons in it was in dual mode. And I don't know if it's because they were testing it out or if they made a mistake, but when they went into nav mode, that's, of course, that allows you to go at a high. But because the acceleration, there is a lull period where, you're charging from SCM to nav mode. The moment you do that, you cannot use countermeasures. So popped went the weasel to them when I fired 2 missiles at them when they were trying to run away. So if you do try to run away, you have to be crafty about it. If it is that you want to boost past and joust past the person and then gun it, but don't try to turn around in front of the person and try to run away. Or if you want to hide behind a structure and, go into nav mode from there, sure. But it, this whole thing, it requires you to be a bit smarter. I know that one of the things I think that CIG is aiming to do is, even with traders, it doesn't have to be a combat, by the way, right? Is that if you are entering a particular zone of interaction, they want us to be very careful about, okay, do we want to get into there? And it seems as though they want the entrance of combat to be easier, but the exit of it to be harder so that we will be able to experience the consequences of our choices of getting into that kind of interaction.
Okay, sounds like good news.
I do have a question. So with all these changes, is this just for Arena Commander, or is this going to be rolled into PU?
This is all a part of why they're calling this stuff experimental. This is all being tested for them because this is going to come to PTU. For example, Kalrati talked about the fact that years ago, Meg, we used to be able to quantum jump anywhere. You didn't have to find a marker. You could just hit quantum and go. And and again, proof of concept, right? That was for a period of time. They took it out, and people have been asking for that again. So CIG is recreating that again, where you have a like within a system. You know how sometimes you'll get a mission to go somewhere, and then the thing you got to go to is still like 400 kilometers away, and you got to slow boat it. Now they're going to have it where you can actually point in that direction, and you'll be able to hit your thing and jump to it a little bit faster. And that's all coming into the actual PU. But for right now, it's just being tested in Arena Commander. Okay. Expat, wow, thank you. 1,000 bits bedtime for you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Keep those cameras rolling. We love what you do. Thank you so much. You guys be sure once again to check out Expat Brat. Great stuff out there. The Gladius has updated ship tunings to go with this mode. I have not really monkeyed around in there with the Gladius. I took something else in there when I did it. I think I was in there with an Eclipse. I didn't even try using that. And thank you, Expat, for the sub as well. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Let's see. Weapons capacitor pool is increased in baseline, but regen is less impacted by priority triangle. I haven't monkeyed with that. Do you know what that is, Kalrati?
Yeah. So let me read it again.
Your audio went out again, buddy.
Oh, right. So weapon capacitor pool is increased in baseline, but regen is less impacted by priority triangle. What that is saying, and you're actually seeing it more, I believe, compared to before 320, or at least outside of master modes, is when you switch your power triangle, you don't actually, your weapon capacity does not increase as much, right? But you do have, I believe, an increased weapon capacitor pool. So, for instance, when folks are PvPing or PvEing in Vandal Swarm, you have two Panthers and you have a Ballistic, right? So what sometimes you would do is that even if your energies run out, you can still fire your Ballistics, and that will give you some kind of buffer time while your energy weapons recharge. So you need that. Particularly because, like I said, the region is less impacted by priority triangle. Because when you recharge or start recharging, does not recharge as quickly. So you have to kind of play around and be more strategic with how you use your weapons in master modes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, y'all making James Brown talk over Kalrati, but we appreciate it. Believe me.
Oh yeah.
So
feel good.
Yeah, Boss Lady, thank you so much for the resub. Prisoner for the 100 bits. Expat, thank you. I thought you were going to bed. Thank you for the 5 community gift subs. Thank you so much. And Captain Radix, thank you for the resub as well. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we really do appreciate it. Kelly, and thank you also for the follow. Thank you so much. Alrighty. We're going to give you guys, this is an example of what the new Arena Commander screen looks like. As we mentioned to you, the whole UI is entirely different now, changed around a lot. One of the things that was really cool to me, Meg, is a couple of my friends were doing some testing. This is when we were testing master modes. They were already in the free flight area in Arena Commander, right? Now, you know how normally we all have to launch together? What was cool was I was playing the game. I knew they were in Arena Commander. I logged in, went to Arena Commander, saw they were there. It said, my friends are here. And I clicked and I jumped in with them, which was so cool. So there's no longer that thing of having to wait on everybody to get in, yada, yada, yada. You can just jump in there with them, which was pretty neat. I thought that was
nice.
Nice little simple quality of life feature that was pretty cool. Okay. Let's talk about some of the other updates here. Ammo for the Mantis. Those of you who have Mantises, you got more ammo in there. The old gimbal system of weapon size going down 1 to accommodate gimbals has been replaced with a flat reduction in fire rate on the same weapons, allowing fixed in gimbals on size 3 for the Gladius. Targeted bracket has been updated. Central HUD symbiology for targeting has changed, including bore sight, orientation, arrow, gimbal designation, and pips. By the way, someone asked this question earlier about the pips and stuff in the ship. For those of you who, if you go into Arena Commander, you won't see that normal pip stuff. It's a bug, right, Kalrati? It's in there right now. It's not in the game. You don't have the center thing.
Yeah. So, are you talking about the double pips or like the kind of?
There's something that, like when you're trying to target on stuff or whatever, it's not there in the thing right now.
Yeah. So currently, I think lag pips is what causes it.
Okay.
Sometimes you would not even see the pip per combination type,
right,
where it's like two pips. But if you're using lag pips, and if you went into game settings and you set your pip combination type to average, you would also see that kind of invisible line. So it's best to, I think the default version kind of works. Sometimes if you respawn, you may also be bugged out because it may try to switch from lead to lag. Because I use lag, that's how I came to know. If you have, what you can do right now is you can set your keybinds, or set some keybinds to switch between the pip combination types. I think that's in flight weapons.
Okay.
Or as well as set some keybinds to change between the lead and lag pips. So you can always just toggle between those after you respawn in either of the modes that where you experience those, and you should be able to get those pips back.
Okay, gotcha. All right, guys, we're going to hit up a couple more here because our time is flying by here, but we want to mention these. These are the various modes that have also had changes. There's general updates, which we talked about some of the general ones under master modes. There's flight model changes, gunnery changes, and targeting changes. One of the things that a lot of us did not realize was going to happen was that several keybinds have changed in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And when you first get in, if you don't know it, you're like, what's wrong with my game? And then you realize, oh my God, they've changed these. And they're kind of critical keys. So we're going to talk about those a little bit too, because there's some definite changes in here. Let's go to what Meg wanted to talk about. Kalrati, why don't you read this one real quick, and then we'll cover that a little bit.
All right. For Meg, remember, guys, you have to get it to test this. To experiment game, team battle, and tank royale, or tonk royale. The Nova Tonk is finally here in Arena Commander. You're able to fly in both team-based and free-for-all game modes, where the goal is to successfully eliminate more tanks than anybody else. Both game modes support up to 16 players and are points-based. Either reach the score limit or simply have the highest score at the end of the game to win. So the initial game rules: team-based elimination, which is squadron battle. Player count is 16, max squad is 8, required players is 2, and the time limit is 15 minutes. So win with the highest score at the time limit or getting past the 60,000 score limit.
Okay. So when I was growing up, Meg, way back in, before there was dirt, we used to have this game. It was a tank game. Do you remember what it was called? Kalrati, was vector graphics, where you had like the two handles.
Are you equating your age to my game? I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know you know gaming history. I'm not trying to say that you were around back then. I'm just saying. What was that game called? Okay, I know there's some more. Battle Zone. Thank you, DJ Psychosis. Thank you. You ain't got to be old to know what I'm talking about. All right. Thank you, Kaizen. Thank you, BBG. All right. Okay. So Battle Zone was this, Meg. You used to actually get up and have the little binoculars. You put your face up to it, and you had two handles, and you had a button, and you used to just blow tanks up, and it was the coolest thing. There were like these rocks and obstructions and all this stuff, and they've expanded on it since then. But this for me was definitely a throwback to those days of playing Battle Zone. And it is cool, Meg, because the tanks have been in the game for a while, right? But people really haven't, had an opportunity to go take them out, quote unquote, on the field and really do stuff other than, if you do it in game, again, what are the opportunities there for real tank battles, right? Is this getting you pumped up now since you see these different modes and things you can do for this?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, y'all. Y'all done heard Meg now. She wants to go out there and do that tank stuff. So when y'all see her streaming, y'all jump in her stream and say, all right, let's go do them tanks, them tonks. Okay. All right. Again, menu screen. As you can see, they actually have these dedicated screens for these, as you can set up all the gameplay, your options and everything to do these tank royales and these different battles, which is pretty neat. So they've expanded on this more and more, as we mentioned to you guys. All right, we're going to hit this last category here of talking about quality of life things. Now, some of these things that we're going to mention to you are things that were not necessarily listed on the patch page. Some of you may have experienced them. Some of you may have heard about them. Oh, by the way, I want to pump a video to you. Check out Avenger 1's video on master modes. I know some of y'all don't like Avenger 1, but listen, he knows what he's doing when it comes to flying. He's got a really good video on master modes if you want to understand what master modes is. And don't forget, this is not the final result of the flight model. They are still looking to tweak it and make it better. So if there are things you think that will improve it, if you like master modes, if you think they should change some things, make sure you put some comments into CIG so that they'll know. Okay. I
do want to say one thing though, as you remember to keep in mind, everybody who gives feedback is that the whole idea is to make ships feel a lot more distinct. What I noticed, and this may have been because they're also tuning these ships to work in a PvP environment, i.e. Squadron 42, is that when I used the Gladius in Vandal Swarm, it felt like it belonged in a more PvE-esque environment, versus when I used it against others, even if your skill level may differ, because of how PvP has a different level of requirement when it comes to fighting, it doesn't seem like the Gladius was, or maybe the right ship in terms of the master modes tuning to really be used, right? So I don't say that to criticize that the Gladius may not be properly tuned, but what I am saying is that it could eventually end up not being the go-to ship for PvP anymore. Because remember what Yogi in one of the Spectrum posts, what he said is that based on the strong thrusters in the rear, it has a lot more strong thrust in the back versus the MAVs and the MAV thrusters. And given that they're trying to eliminate the whole jousting kind of behavior, if you're not careful with your speed, and if you're not experienced of a pilot, you may find yourself jousting because of that rear strength. Which is something that's beneficial in the PvE environment like Vandal Swarm, but not necessarily if you're finding yourself going up against a relatively inexperienced pilot in PvP. So it could be that, it was my opinion that they could have perhaps given us another ship that's more reflective of what's required in PvP, that's strong in PvP. May not be the go-to ship for PvP, but that was just me. And I hope that at least folks also consider that when giving feedback, it may not be the right ship to test for PvP. For it, yeah. Just something to consider.
And people, be aware that the Gladius, and people may wonder why is it always the Gladius, quote unquote, but the Gladius is the ship that is primary for Squadron 42, and they want the players to be familiar with flying that particular ship. But you can take, like I said, I took an Eclipse in when I went in. You can take in whatever you want, but I appreciate the fact that you mentioned about they want these ships to feel distinctive, just like we talked about vehicles earlier. They want ships to feel a certain way when you fly them. So just keep that in mind. That's good points. Thank you. Let's talk about some of the quality of life stuff that has not been mentioned so far. One of the things that I want to mention is this one. This one freaked me out. Currently, there's a bug in the game where in the PTU, where if someone puts on a backpack and they put a rifle on themselves, instead of the rifles being pointing upward, up and down like usual, they now point like a transformer. They'll be pointing like this. Okay, or they'll be pointing backward like that. Okay, and you run around with these things stuck out of your body this way, right? So this is what happened, Kalrati. You're gonna appreciate this. I base out of R Corp, and I come out of the apartments there, and I come downstairs, and when you first come out of R Corp, there's a hot dog stand there, right? There's not a hot dog stand, but there's a vendor there. I came out there were 3 people, the guy behind the counter and 2 people standing there buying stuff. The guy in front of me who came out the elevator ran past them and turned, and those guns pointed at the people, and they did this. And I freaked out. The guy behind the counter ducked behind the counter. I was like, where'd that come from? Okay. So for the first time, I saw NPC reactions in the game. And so my question to you guys is is this just a reaction that's put into the game, or are we maybe seeing the beginnings of quantum, where there's interaction between us and, the players? They didn't say anything about this. I didn't see anything about reactions. Kai, shut up. He thought Chicago was rough. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Good thing I wasn't running around in underwear. You're right there, Charles. Absolutely. That would have made him really run, right? But I don't know. What do you guys think? You think that's because I don't see anything about that. Have you guys ever seen that happen before in the game? Meg, Kalrati, have you guys seen that in the game?
You can go ahead, Kalrati.
All right. So I've seen it a few, not many times, but a few times in the bunkers. If you do one of the bunkers,
in the bunkers, I've seen it, right?
Yeah, but in the landing zones, no. And what could be happening, it's a good thing you mentioned that, Griff. What could be happening is that all of the NPCs may have some kind of latent NPC behavior, and given what you asked about with regards to pre-quantum, we know that they want to convert, from quanta to virtual NPCs, and these virtual NPCs need to have the attributes required to play the role.
Right.
And we've also heard them talk about procedural NPCs, where these procedural NPCs need to have NPC behaviors procedurally, attributes, animations to fit the role, depending on what environment that they're in. So what could be happening is that, all of these NPCs, they have these attributes hidden, right? And we're just waiting for all of these things to be gradually linked, gradually connected, so that when it's time, for quanta to convert via the virtual NPCs, they have the attributes already there. And this it's an interesting bug that gave us an interesting insight, because originally we've never been able to freely draw our weapons or even point our weapons, but it seems as though, because of the physicalization of the angle of the weapon, is actually causing that. So, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Bacon. Yeah, I know. I've seen it. Like Kalrati said, when we go into the bunkers, there's some missions where there's civilians, where you actually see them cower and stuff. But that's usually when there's been some type of aggressive action that's taken place. I've never seen it where there was no aggressive action other than the fact that the gun pointed in their direction, in a landing zone. And it may have been, like you said, it was a bug. We know that the gun thing was a bug. And normally the guns aren't pointing at people in the landing zone. So it may have been something that was there that just was never activated. But it definitely freaked me out when I saw everybody hide behind that, that vendor stand. I was kind of like, okay, I've never seen that before. All right, let me move on beyond that. Go ahead, go, Meg. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I've definitely seen it like a handful of times, but I've never seen somebody make NPCs do that. Like, I've always walked in and NPCs are like freaking out or something.
Freaked out. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Scanning. Some of you guys know when you normally would hit tab, you would do a scan and you'd see the little pulse go out and you could see the outline of everything. Especially if you were like going to a space station on the dark side of a planet, you want to get some range and see where it was at. That ain't there no more. Now, I don't know if that's a bug or not.
It's a bug.
I'm hoping it's a bug.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
My lights don't work that far. I can't see where I'm going.
Okay. I'm hoping
Fortunately, it's a bug. The last patch that we got, it's the very first slide. Everyone was.
Oh, really? Okay. All right, good. Because I was like, I ain't too thrilled about that. Okay. All right. So he says it's a bug. Graphics pass. Several of us noticed when we went into the game, particularly when we were leaving R-Corp, that we could see that the city has been touched on again. They've done something to the buildings and the artwork where it has a different look to it. We've also noticed that the cloud tech seems to be tuned up even more. Sometimes there's more of a overcast look of the day, or almost storm look to the day, versus just cloudy days where everything's just, the clouds are over the city, but it's still very bright and sunny. So we've been noticing, it seems to be that they did another graphics pass in the game. I don't know if you guys have noticed anything that looks different to you, Meg. Anything look different to you? Or does it still kind of look the same when you look at the game? Maybe just my bad eyes too.
Yeah, it looks the same to me. I could just be missing. Well, also I use reshade, so that might kill it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, same. So it probably killed it for me too.
Oh, okay. Well, so much for asking those two. If they use reshade, forget about it. Okay. We talked about the mining stability change already. The social menu, they now have a thing on the social menu where you can say whether you want people to give you invites, friend invites, or no, under options. So you can block invites from friends or even from people who aren't your friends if you want to. So you have a little bit more control of whether or not somebody can keep, asking you to join your party or be your friend or whatever if you don't want to be bothered. If you want to be that solo player who just lone wolf, you don't want to be bothered with getting all these messages popping up and distracting you, you can now turn that off if you want.
Or if you're a bigger streamer, like Adventure One or something, and you don't want to get spammed with all that.
Yeah, hitting you all the time. That's a good point. Yeah.
Also, sometimes people will like this is a very rare thing, but I've had this happen in other games where I accidentally accept something and it like throws me into a new server, which not Star Citizen, but I like, for example, I could see it happening where one of my friends is trying to put out a medical beacon and they're like, are you ready for it? Like, be ready to spam this button. Like, what if somebody sends out a different thing and I accept it? And it's probably not that deep, but
no, but it makes sense.
It'd be nice to turn things off.
There used to be back in the day, if you accepted somebody's invite and they jumped into a server, it would yank you out of the game into their game. So yeah, definitely the fact that you can shut it off is a good thing. Multi-tool. This is one that I didn't see anything in the notes. Did you guys see anything in the notes on this one? About the multi-tool, that now when you beam on a box, it will say Laranite. It actually comes up in little words right there and tells you what's in the box now. Did you guys see that?
I don't remember seeing it in the patch notes, but I remember seeing it in the ISC.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Had you seen it, Beg?
For some reason, I thought that this was already in the game. But I think I'm wrong, right?
No, you may maybe I missed it, but I thought it was just in this particular patch.
I think I'm wrong.
Okay.
I think I'm thinking of like ships can scan things and see what's in them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So never mind.
Yeah, that you can do. But if you're using the multi-tool,
that's cool.
Yeah, and like especially like when you're moving, like if you're doing piracy and you want to, or if you're just organizing your boxes, you know what I mean? It at least tells you what it is that you're moving, so you can stack. Especially if you're trying to sell somebody, like let's say somebody wants to buy your barrel from you, you got it mixed up with iron and all that stuff. You can now see what's in the boxes, and here are the ones we want to give them.
All you have to go off of right now is just the colors, right?
Exactly.
So
Try to figure that out.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep. Especially as they add more resources and stuff. Let's see, new attire on NPCs. There are some new fancy clothes walking around in the towns too. The guards, I was at ArcCorp the other day and somebody was watching my screen and they said, hey, aren't those guards wearing some new armor? And they're wearing some different armor. There's some new outfits for civilian clothes too. I don't know if they're in the stores yet though. Did you guys see whether or not they're in the stores? The new clothes? I haven't looked around yet.
I've seen armor. I did a bunker today and it was at Microtech. So I'm excited to see what the other planets look like. Because like the different colors. Well, they're pirates, so
that's cool.
Probably
but you found some new stuff.
Yeah,
cool.
the pirates have the Defiance, the white Defiance helmet and the arms. Oh,
like
looks
that?
Awesome.
Okay,
it's great. It's different from the blue and purple. Like I don't know. It's nice to just get changes.
Something different.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I will say it just makes it even more horrendous for people who like running bunkers at Microtech because the guards are also white.
Yep, exactly. I was gonna say now you got to really look now who you're shooting at. That's the truth.
Some of them don't have the tags to know that they're friendly either.
I know. That's the truth. That's the truth. All right, and then last but not least, we talked about this or touched on this earlier in the show. There are new keybinds. One of the most popular, two of the most popular actually have changed. Back in the day, as you guys know, you could just hit the letter R when you were in your ship and it would do flight ready for you. That is no longer the case. R is now to target something. If you want to target something, you hit R. If you want to flight ready your ship, you have to do Alt R now. The second one is C. Those of you know that C was also putting you in cruise mode, basically. The old SCM. You hit C, your thing would lock to whatever speed. Now C decouples. It couples and decouples. And so if you make the mistake like I did of hitting C once and then saying, oh, it's not that, and then taking off and not realizing you're in a decouple mode, you have some problems. I'm wondering, why am I drifting all over the place? I didn't push decouple, and I did. So be aware, you have to do Alt C. Okay, be aware of that. That is now changed. Kalrati, didn't there also change something? Is the gimbal thing changed too? Didn't some other thing with gimbaling change? That now it's like that there's no more the gimbal of +2, 3, and 2, like separate number. Something happened with gimbals. If I'm not crazy.
I think that's with regard. Is it with regards to the unification of the system, where or that's something different?
What is it? The unification of what?
Well, if you there's no more gimbal or physicalized gimbal anymore.
Right.
So
right. What is it? Yeah. Explain it, because I've forgotten what it is now. I know something with gimbals that's not there anymore.
So I don't know if that's with regards to master nodes only.
No. It's with it's the firing rate. That's what it was. We were talking about that before. That's what it is. The firing rate change if you go from gimbal versus non-gimbal now.
Right. And Nick says it's changed in master mode. So so if it's a size 3 hard point, if you switch to gimbal mode, the weapon rate reduces versus fixed. That's actually increased, so the refire rate is increased now.
Yep. I don't know if there are any other keybind changes. Do you remember if there's anything else?
So there is one, not necessarily a keybind change, but a flight feature change. You can't continue to accelerate or go forward and hold down the keybind for cruise. You have to let go of the forward or reverse keybind, even if it's a throttle controller. And then once you let go of that key or that keybind, you can then press the cruise mode keybind to engage cruise mode.
Okay.
The moment you press the forward or reverse keybind, it deactivates cruise mode, like how in some vehicles nowadays, and if the vehicle's in cruise mode and you press the brake, that disengages the cruise mode. So you have to be mindful of that right now.
Okay. All right, Meg, was there any keybinds you're aware of or anything, or do you haven't gotten caught by any of the new changes, have you? The Alt R.
No, it was just the one. Oh yeah, I definitely have. It was just those.
Okay.
I had the same. I was like, "What the frick is going on?" Like, I swear, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
Well, for those of you out there with throttles and sticks, we're giving you the fair warning. Get it together, because you're going to be mad if you go in there and say, "What's wrong with my throttle? It's not working," or "My buttons on my stick."
Yeah, there was something weird with that too. I noticed with sticks. Again, could have just been me, but I just copied my stuff from PU to PTU, and man, that was a headache. I don't know if it was me or the game, but
depending on the person or depending on the controller, clean, easy a conversion. Like, I didn't experience as much, but there were some persons who were experiencing headaches upon headaches with regards to updating their stuff.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we have hit it all today, all that we can share with you. And I'm sure there's going to be more fixes and patches. In fact, like we mentioned earlier, there have been hot fixes coming out and patches almost every other day, if not every day. CIG is trying to get this pushed out. And we mentioned this before. We really believe that they're going to try and get 3.2 out prior to CitizenCon, because obviously we're going to be looking forward to hearing about the next patch that's following for the next quarter. So we want to be done with this in this quarter so that we're ready for the next one. Want to give you guys an update on our St. Jude. We are at $2,400. We have raised more money. We are $100 short of $2,500. We can hit $2,500 tonight. We know that you guys can do it. 4 people with 25, 2 people with 50, 1 person with 100. We know we can hit it. And to inspire you, to get you in that mood of giving, we're going to show you guys a machinima.
Oh yeah.
We have, every once in a while we do this, we debut something, and I happened to come across this one today. I was feeling in some kind of way, yo-yo, you know what I mean? I mean, like, we're like in this really weird space where kind of Starfield's going on and Baldur's Gate is going on, and CitizenCon is coming up, and it's like, okay, how do I feel right now? So I needed this video, Meg. I needed this video to pump me up. So we're going to hope this video pumps up $100 for the kids. All right. So you guys check this out, and then we're going to come right back and let you guys know what's coming up for this week. Okay. Hope you enjoy it. This is by ShabaGaming. Came out a month ago. I never saw it until today, this afternoon. So check it out. And that's the wrong button. So it ain't ShabaGaming. So let me bring up the right button here, and we're going to watch ShabaGaming. Yeah, here we go.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright, blessed day, dark, sacred night. And I think to myself, oh, what a wonderful world. Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? When they're really saying is, I love you. Oh, what a wonderful world.
Oh, look at Meg. I saw you crying, Meg. I saw you crying. I saw you crying. I saw you
You're
crying.
holding it up, man.
No, shout out to ShabaGaming. How'd you guys like that, right? Kind of cool,
fantastic.
right? Kind of cool,
It was
right?
amazing.
Kind of reminds you of why we're all here, right? That's the whole point
Yep.
of this thing, right?
Exactly.
And I really want to say thank you to Meg and Kalrati for being here today on a Sunday and sharing with you guys. We are still at $2,400, but there's still a few more minutes for us to get to that $2,500 mark. Put your handkerchiefs away, stop sniffing and stuff. We go ahead and make that extra 100. We can make it before we leave today, all right? But let's go ahead and get to talking about what we've got coming up within the next week or so. Let's see. I'll talk about it. Soul Talk this Thursday is our show with Fast Cart, where we have our roundtable conversation talking about things that are going on in the Star Citizen community, covering what's going on ISC, SCL, conversations about the upcoming CitizenCon, Spectrum, and a whole bunch of other wonderful topics where you guys get to come in. These are our community shows that we're talking about. Pipe Dreams, thank you so much. We're happy to have you here too. Thank you so much for following. But this are community shows that we have on Thursday and Saturday where you guys get to come in and share your thoughts about Star Citizen, where on Sunday you get to listen to us talk about our thoughts on Star Citizen. And then on next Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time is Soul Voices, where we do the one-on-one show where you get to come in and talk with me. I pick subjects from Spectrum, from Reddit, and also the gaming community to talk about what's the latest, and you get to come in one-on-one, have the microphone all to yourself, and share what you think about the world of Star Citizen. Next week, y'all recognize that face, a face that's familiar to so many people in the Star Citizen community. Better known as known as Geo Get Money from back in the day, but Geo. Geo is gracious enough to let me steal one of his pictures, but we're going to be doing a show called Merchandise Mart. We're going to be talking about the merchandising of Star Citizen. What type of merchandise that CIG has put out? What type of merchandise would you love to see in the future? and maybe some merchandise that you never even knew CIG produced. There's some stuff that's been out, Meg, that I completely forgot about back in the day. That is probably, actually, I've watched people ask for crazy prices for it on places like eBay and stuff. But there's a lot of stuff out there that you can purchase, could have been purchased, and maybe even purchasable in the future. So that's going to be next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to be doing Merchandise Mart. All right, we're holding at $2,400. We have done a good job tonight. You have done a good job tonight. And I'm sure we're going to hit that $2,500 mark within this week. And then we're going to be near that $3,000 even sooner. So we want to say thank you guys for all that you've done today. Thank you again for those of you who came over from Expat, came over from Jake Acapella. Appreciate that you guys have spent the day with us and hope you've enjoyed yourselves. To Kalrati, to yoyoMeg, love you both. Thank you guys for the time that you all put in today. I got the names right on this page, by the way, if you notice, I got it right.
You did.
I got it right this time. I got it right. All right. We are going to be getting ready to set up a raid, and we're going to be going over to send you guys over to visit with Marcus the Way. Some of you guys have seen Marcus before. Marcus is out there tonight. When you get over with Marcus, let Marcus know that you came over from the Soul Citizens. And if you like what you see, we want you to, of course, make sure that you follow and like him as well. We want you all to don't forget about our social media. Please like and follow us. When you go to our YouTube page, like and follow us. I think we were just one person short of 1,500, 13, 14. I forget how many people we have on YouTube, but we were about to break another number there. So make sure you like and follow us when you get over there. And again, for those of you who subscribed today, for those of you who followed today, for those of you who gave bits today, we truly appreciate you as always for supporting us. I'm done. All right, Meg, I'm done.
Oh, so I think Danger Hobo is saying current.
What's Danger Hobo saying?
He's AFK.
Is he? Is he AFK? Oh, we had questions. Oh, I'm so sorry. Fast card.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. We had questions. I'm so sorry I missed it. He says, did we have answer our questions? No, we did not. Let me get rid of this one. That one's complete. This was yesterday. Why, in your opinion, did they only give us the Hull A and Hull C and not the Hull B? Was the justification related to cargo refactoring? That's from Pops in Space. Pops, I don't know. You know, obviously the Hull A was proof of concept with the whole grid thing. But as you know, the Hull C was a bigger version of that. I would think that the Hull B is not far behind because it lands in between those two ships. Who knows, Pops? Maybe it will pop up at, I won't say where.
Never know.
Yeah, you never know, right? But I don't know what the rationale was behind that, Pops. Any of you guys got any insight on that? The Hull B? I know Yo-Yo was saying that's what she would look for if she was going to get a hull. No, it's one of those things, huh? But the Hull C was out before the Hull A, Pops. I hate to say that. It really was. So I don't know. The Hull A was kind of like more of seeing that whole process come into the game. So maybe we'll get the B pretty soon. I would hope that we would. The next question is from Danger Hobo. Can the P-72 Argo Cargo jump from OM1 to OM2 now with master modes like faster than its old max speed gray quantum QT? No. I don't know if that's going to happen with the new master mode because it's not a boost. It's more of it's literally like a version of still doing quantum, but in a shorter range, and they don't have quantum drives on them. So I don't think that it's going to be something that they could do. It would be kind of cool if they sped them up a little bit, but I don't know. Kalrati, you got any insight into that with those two ships in particular? I haven't tried to use boost on them. I've never tried to use boost on a freaking Argo Cargo.
Boost does not work currently in master mode. So you can only target if, for instance, you are in the Jericho map.
Okay.
You can only target the gas cloud. I think it was Mike L1B.
Okay. We went through
cannot quantum boost.
Yeah, please forgive me. The raid went through. I'm sorry. I jumped back and didn't mean to cancel it. So we're still broadcasting on YouTube, but Twitch went over. So yeah, so YouTube folks, I'm sorry. Okay. We're still here. I know you guys are here. I'm sorry. I should have canceled that. I shouldn't have let that question thing throw me off my rocker, but it did. All right. Well, anyway, we're going to wrap it up, guys. We've had a long night, as you can tell. As always, stay safe. Peace, love, and soul. At least the whole show will be on when we put it on YouTube. You guys take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Adios, folks.